Good evening, grüezi miteinander. Very nice to see you here on a busy WEF day, another one, late night session, I guess. So let's jam together. My name is Martina Fuchs. I'm a business journalist from this beautiful country of Switzerland. Also work for the IMD Business School as a consultant, for the Montreux Jazz Festival in Music, China on the board of directors there, and I'm a brand ambassador for the Swiss chocolate company La Derach. So apart from that, I'm here with MAEJOR. He is a US Grammy-nominated producer, multiplatinum singer and songwriter. He has produced music for the likes of Justin Bieber and Drake and Ciara. He's also one half of the ADM duo Area 21 with Martin Garrix, and has a long story to tell in a moment himself. He's a cancer survivor, and very importantly here with us today to talk about sound healing frequencies. We've launched a frequency school together a couple of months ago here in Switzerland at Aiglon boarding school in the Swiss mountains, where we bring sound therapy, mental health, and the health benefits of music to children, but also teach business leaders, executives around the world. We've been on a journey over the last couple of months to countries from India to Qatar to Brazil, Switzerland, and many more to come in the near future. But I would like to give the word to MAEJOR to also introduce what we are doing now with the Frequency School, and then the structure of the evening is that we will have two songs, two sound baths that MAEJOR is going to guide, and then we'll talk more about the Frequency School, and we'll close with a new project that we gave birth to a few weeks ago, which is the 195 song, but more about that in a moment.
Hello, everyone. I'm grateful to be here with you all, amazing people. As Martina mentioned, I started in music and mainstream music, nothing to do with consciousness or intention, or it was just like, some sales, something in the club, something for the radio. And it was an exciting time. I was grateful, traveling, meeting people I saw on TV and having these exciting moments. And then, unfortunately, I got diagnosed with cancer. Well, unfortunately and fortunately, like I always think that there's a yin yang to everything. Like there's always, in the Steve Jobs speech from Stanford, he says you can always connect the dots only looking backwards. And so looking backwards from that, I see how that being diagnosed with this introduced me to a lot of people sharing healing modalities with me, from east to west to all types of things, some things that I thought were very crazy and woo-woo, and some things that, didn't necessarily resonate with, but what did resonate with me was the power of sound. So when people started speaking to me from a science perspective, first I actually heard it from a spiritual perspective, and I kind of heard of it in yoga, and it would say this frequency makes you feel this, and I didn't really know if it was anything to it, but I felt good when I did it. And then I met a friend who was a monk, and he started to tell me about the repetition of mantra and what that was. And I heard mantra before, but I didn't know that he explained to me that each mantra was a unique set of frequencies that has been passed down through their lineage to put them in a certain state of consciousness. And through the repetition of this sound, they get into this state. And I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful. It kind of sounded like what we do in pop music a lot, like, there's a lot of repetition, and it's like, it's kind of programming a bit into our subconscious. As she mentioned, I work with Justin Bieber, and we've done some songs that I feel like are like, so poetic and amazing and deep. But the one that goes the biggest is when he says, baby, 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 oh, baby, 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 oh, baby. I'm like, so I started to see, okay, there's something in this repetition. I started to, understand that, okay, there's something that happens there through the power of repeating. And then from the other perspective that I got introduced, which made me really lean into it and create our first season, which was called Major Frequency, was when I got introduced to the science perspective. So my friend, who was a scientist, he started talking about how binaural beats change your brainwaves measurably. So this is something that can be measured through an EEG. You put it on, and you play these frequencies, and your brainwaves synchronize to this tone, so you can change from beta to alpha to all these different states, which usually you know, maybe have to go into deep meditation, or, you know, children are in different states. But it was very, you know, I started to see that you can actually change your brainwave states measurably through sound. And so from that moment, I got really interested in to say, how can I, you know, bring some of these ideas that I'm learning about in these cool science and spiritual communities into what I'm doing with the mainstream. And it was a long journey. At first, I sat at my boardroom table at Universal Music, and I told all these executives who were like looking at me like, "What do you got, Major?" And they're expecting to hear like some new hit with, you know, Drake or some, you know, something cool. And I'm like, "Guys, I got it. We're gonna do sound healing." And they were like, "What is going on? What this did not sound like an idea that they were." Yeah, they want baby, baby, baby. Oh, you know, and I understand, you know, and this was pre-pandemic, so these ideas were kind of just, I think, a little bit, I don't know, forward. And that's why I also mention that, because I know many of people here are creative or entrepreneurs or have ideas or art that they want to bring into the world. And just because the initial reaction is not met with excitement doesn't mean it's not a strong, amazing idea. Because shortly after, when the pandemic happened, conversations around mental health became much more commonplace, and anxiety and all of these things that where people wanted tools and information into how can they actually tap in and be better. So during that time is when all the stuff that I was doing started to resonate. And since then, we've been going around sharing with, as you mentioned, we started the Frequency School. We've been sharing with business executives, creating workshops, wellness in the workplace, all different types of things to how sound can be used for our benefit. So we hope to share a few with you here today. Just some small short pieces. I know it's late. We're not going to play anything. They're like, "Do you want to play your 1 hour piece?" I'm like, they might not be so good right now. Everyone will fall asleep. But just a few short pieces to set the mood, set the vibe, show you some of the frequency stuff, and hopefully get a moment for you to just meet yourself, have an inner reflection, and have some good vibes. So thank you for having me.
If we can maybe dim the lights a little bit as well, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and we can share. So the first piece that I created, we're calling it Spiritual Elevation, and I added and created this one using 432 hertz with alpha wave enhancements for the binaural beats.
I think we don't need to shower anymore tonight because we heard a waterfall there. You like to use a lot of elements of nature also in your music, right, Major?
Absolutely, yes. With water being one of the ones I love, like they say, be like water, flow, all these things from Bruce Lee, and then as well as yes, nature. Yes, it's amazing to be able to connect us to the earth. Sounds like all the sounds and instruments we have are in a sense mimicking nature in some way. Like the flute is, trying to be the bird. All of these things are come back to nature. So anytime we can bring this into the music, it gives a soothing effect or some type of grounding. So I love that. Yeah.
Especially because we are here in the green up space and the climate hub. So we're actually also hoping to produce more music with the sounds of nature, maybe even for Earth Day or other events that you have planned here with your organizations and projects and so on. I think we're ready for another quick sound bath, Major.
Sure. So we'll share. There's another one I created. This one uses 444 hertz frequency, and the reason I chose that is just a short thing. Like all music that is made in the mainstream, they use 440 hertz, which is one tone, which is regardless of like if it's hip hop, electronic pop, it's all on this one frequency. And something you kind of never think about or a question that we never did in our world. But I mean, it's like almost this is the ABCs or this is the standard. But then once I started to understand that there are other potential frequencies that have healing benefits, I was like, and then just as a creative, I was like, why would I want to be in the same frequency that everyone is using? There are some conspiracy theories around why that is. Some people say it's to put humanity at a certain state where we're a little dissonant and not at our optimum. I can't say for sure if this is true, but I have learned that there are other ones other than 440, like 444, which we'll share, that have shown to have a positive benefit. And like this one I like is because it's slightly higher than the normal frequency, but not so far off that it sounds strange. So I'm trying to bring it into something that's accessible for people. They can hear it just like a normal song. So this one is also like a reflective. We're winding the night down. So this was about 3.5 minutes, and this one uses 444 hertz.
Let's dim the lights again. Welcome back. Now, we heard a lot of sounds of nature, and talking about nature, women are also a force of nature. And so we're not only, using the frequencies, but also voices. And a couple of weeks ago, we had the idea to produce the first song in the world with all the countries in the world represented. It has been a dream of mine since I was a little girl to do that, and especially focusing on the cause of gender equality and women empowerment. So we went around the world virtually, unfortunately only, to find one woman in every country. So according to the UN, there are 195 nations, and it has been a little bit of a marathon to find one in every corner of the world, but we made it despite, social media and Wi-Fi access. There are a lot of remote locations, luckily still, on this planet Earth, and we produced the video that we are going to show you now. The song is called 195, and MAEJOR is using sound healing frequencies as well, and very symbolically the 528 love frequency, and only the sound of birds and the heartbeat. So it's a very special track. We just launched it yesterday actually at the Female Quotient, and we're going to be very interested and also excited to get your feedback. So after that video, we want to do a quick Q&A with all of you, maybe also get your feelings, your emotions, how you experienced today's session, and just open for dialogue and discussion and exchange. So let's watch 195, please. Thank you.
عضلات بعزي المساواة
Igualdad.
equality igualdad
Havasarutun. Equality.
Gleichheit
Beraberlik.
equality المساواة
Shamuta.
Equality.
Rovnost.
Gelijkheid.
Equality.
Zeze.
Am to the pogi denyam yu.
igualdad jednakost
Teka-tekanyo.
Igualdade.
Bersama rataan.
равенство
Beikili.
Ukungana.
igualdad
Sama piep.
Tamo.
Equality.
Putingo ligi ako
Sawa-sawa. Igualdad.
平等 igualdad usawa
Kuvanda mutindo.
Igualdad.
equality
Ravnopravnost.
igualdad
Isotita.
Rovnost.
Pyongdung.
Egalité.
ligestilling
Égalité.
Equality.
equidad igualdad المساواة
Igualdad.
Igualdade.
معرنة
Virtus.
kulingana
Equalinet.
igualdade
Tasa-arvo. Egalité.
eyen tayango tanasoro Gleichheit
Peye.
Isotita.
Equality. Igualdad.
Feppugol Ano studion som
Equality.
Equality
Igualdad. Egyenlőség.
Yaprete.
Barabari.
kesetaraan
Barabari.
المساواة
Coheness. Shivion. Uguaglianza. Equality.
Pyodo.
المساواة تندك
Usawa.
دراسيت بوك
المساواة.
تندك
ความเสมอภาค
Vienliedzība.
المساواة.
تيكانو
Polygama.
المساواة
Gleichberechtigung.
لجيبة
Egaliteit.
فتوفين
Kufanana.
Kesamaan. Pagmamahamakam.
Ilenya.
Ugwalyanza.
Tiokunochuan. Fote.
Égalité.
Igualdad.
Abad barak.
Égalité.
Равноправност.
Égalité.
Igualdade.
Dendu Nyamhu.
Okuthika pamwe.
Ang tirabo.
Samanata.
Gelijkwaardigheid.
Equality.
Equidad.
Deideimuki.
Arroz.
Ednakost.
Likestilling.
Al-Masawat.
Masavat.
Nadadit dalzala.
Musawa.
Igualdad.
Ihobonaimo.
Joja.
Igualdad.
Pagkakapantay-pantay.
Rovnost. Igualdad.
Al-Musawa.
Pyeongdong.
Egalitate.
Egalitate.
Равенство. Uburinganire. Equality. Egalite.
Uaruguni.
Tutusa.
Uguaglianza.
Kwasimi. Al-Musawa.
Jednakost.
Egalité.
Nadisim.
Equality.
Rovnost.
Enakost.
Exactly.
Sinanta.
Equaliteit.
Ari amara.
Igualdad.
Samattuam.
Al-Musawa.
Semleti.
Jämlikhet. Gleichstellung.
Al-Musawat.
Barobari.
It Hanesam.
Soswe.
Ebahitatao.
Equality.
Al-Musawat.
Rekevi.
Denglik.
Pangatasi.
Ominkanongkano.
Рівність.
Al-Musawa. Equality.
Usawa.
Equality. Igualdad.
Denglik. Equality.
Uguaglianza.
Igualdad. Bình đẳng.
Al-Musawa.
Kulinganizana.
Kuenzana.
Martina did an amazing job. Like when she came to me and said she wanted to do this project, I honestly was a bit skeptical because I was like, how do you get all of, there's so many people. And she was, as she mentioned, it was a dream. And so another indicator, when you have a dream, when you have something in your mind, like follow it, because she went with her spreadsheet and she's asking people, do you know someone in this country? And, different people were leading to different people. And, as she mentioned, when I produced it, I was thinking, like, how do I produce something like this? How do I even bring this many? Each woman has this amazing. You can feel the story through their expression, and so I wanted to make sure that was a highlight. So we kept it very minimal. As she mentioned, I used 528, which I was looking for which frequency is known for love, and so a lot of people say this, as well as the sound of birds, which you mentioned earlier in nature, and for that represents freedom. And, from a lot of boundaries and barriers that have been on us, we can, fly away, be free in this way, as well as the heartbeat, which is like we're, the sound that connects us all, the mother's first sign of life. So, yeah, just those three elements, and the voices is the shining star, is the human voice. So, thank you, Martina, for bringing something like this together. Yeah.
Thank you for producing it. And Eddie, as Major said, these women all have their own stories to tell. We want to get ordinary women from all walks of life, but I think the power of their presence, their emotions, their feelings in their languages, but also the way they speak and the tone levels really shows a lot. We're now getting ready to submit the song for the Guinness World Records, because it's the first time that every country on the planet is being represented. So we're also looking for partners and sponsors in the song, and also collaborators for the Frequency School that we've launched. We're also planning to not just take this around the world with different institutions, but also hopefully build a physical school at some point. Major is also very much into the design of landscapes and spaces. So as a lot of you work probably in climate sciences or urban planning, we're very interested in learning more in this area as well. And we are, opening the floor for questions now, or just sharing experiences. I think you can just raise your voice, but there might be a microphone in the room as well. Thank you so much. You can introduce yourself or just, stay anonymous. This is a very intimate setting, so thank you very much.
My name is Lila, and I'm from the Diné Nation. We are also known as Navajo, but we are indigenous to what's now called New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. But we call it Diné-Bekeya, the people's land. And I really appreciate your journey and your story, and just taking the world you were in, where it sounds like everything was available to you, the pathway of fame and money, and that world in Los Angeles, and I just really want to honor you for choosing the path of healing and consciousness, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I just really appreciate how you've chosen to leverage your skills and your power, not the bad kind of power, but the good kind of power, towards helping others. I was just curious, because as indigenous peoples, we're really wanting to, especially in what we now call America, bring our healing sciences out into the world in measurable ways too, and sort of, we have to be careful because sometimes they co-opt our medicines and they appropriate them and they steal them and profit off of them. So we're kind of doing it slowly, and as the world is more ready to receive the knowledge. But I was wondering, how did your journey with, and if you'd rather pass on this question, feel free, but how did your journey with cancer go? Did you find some healing modalities that did heal it? And then I guess my second question is, would you ever be interested in collaborating with indigenous peoples to co-create, healing paths for others? Yeah.
Wow. First, thank you for that amazing reflection. Thank you. Yes. So in my personal journey, I used many different modalities for healing, and I'm feeling now better than ever. But the first, for me, a lot of what the sound is, and this is why I even like to carefully to call it healing. What I really believe that it's doing is putting us in a state where I believe our natural state is healed. Like, we are truly connected to an infinite source of healing. Like, when you get a cut or something, millions of blood cells and things rush there to repair, so we're always going towards our natural state is where we're wanting to be in this healed state, for lack of better words. And I think a lot of times as we take on a lot of stress, trauma, all of these things, we can get disconnected from that source. And so for me, when I was working for myself personally, a huge part of it was mental. And when I initially had so much anxiety around the cancer, I was like, in my 20s, I'm like, what is this? But the sound really helped me to get deeper into my meditation, which helped my mind, which was like the first step. That I have a friend who's a doctor, and he says he can't say it publicly because he doesn't want to be looked at like a quack doctor, but he says a lot of times the healing really starts when someone who they see him as the authority, they see him in the white coat, and if he says you'll be okay, then they start to access that healing and doing it themselves. And so for me, it was a similar path, but I also explored many things from traditional things. I did some chemotherapy. I did some psychedelic journeys. I did some, for lack of better words, I did many things that I feel like all contributed in some way. But the sound for me was the part that helped my mind to stay the most centered. And I believe that, there's three parts: our mind, our body, and our spirit. As far as collaborations, that is what we love. Every time we go to a new place, a new land, we always like to collaborate with the locals or the people, because there's so much, as you mentioned, heritage of healing that has been even like in some way, I don't want to say lost, but not positioned in the light for many of these cultures. So I would love to learn more about this, specifically how, what your tradition is. But I think that they say like there's nothing new under the sun. So everything that I'm doing is nothing really new. It's like learning from a lot of ancient traditions and just trying to apply it today in a way that's accessible. So, and also just to give a general thought around, like, in this new era of time, it would be more, there still will be people stealing and running and doing things. I think that now, though, is the time when an idea in our human history can go from inception to the world faster than ever. Whether it's a positive idea or negative, this is just the way that information is shared in these times. So I think it's encouraging for ideas that are trying to break through, that necessarily before would need like a lot of support from different structures and, would take a lot of time. Now, something, if it's really transformative and groundbreaking, it can cut through. And this is what I'm hoping to do, even with, a lot of the things we talk about, wellness and healing. And as you know, there's a lot of industry that's incentivized for sickness. So I also think about this as well. How can I be careful and make sure that, and then I also remember too, like now the way that things are shared, it can, if we get it out on the right trajectory, it can reach everyone in the world faster than we know it. So we'll love to hear more about that after. And
the room is warming up. Yes. Question 1, 2,
Hi,
3.
my name is Hendrik van der Ham. We met already, yes. And long ago I dreamt, and I dreamt about a beautiful project. And this is a floating island. We're going to do this in 10 different places. And the marvelous thing about this is actually, I did a lot about healing. If it's about cancer, my father's father, he died with cancer, and then the whole thing. Oh my God! I was studying this, and but let us a little bit behind. I know that there's a lot in the world, but it's not really helping, not that much. But if we come to frequency and actually a lot of different alternative healing, then we come close, because we have to go back to the root. Where is it coming from, right? Exactly. So, and when I started to have my dreams was in 2002, and I'm going to build those 10 islands, but on the islands are pyramids. So I went back to Atlantis. From the Atlantis time, we actually bringing the pyramids, bringing everything from that culture back. And if we talk about frequency, and we talk about really what's happening in our whole system, we are natural beings, right? Very natural beings. So we connected to the earth and the heavens also, so the whole time. And so I think, you were talking about a school. I would like to have a school with you on the island. And I hope that we can realize it before 2030. And we're working on this first place in Dubai. And I like it. I like it very much. So let's talk a little bit more later on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thank you for saying this. Sorry about your grandfather as well, but thank you for having a dream and for being not fearless to share it and to, this is how it works. We collaborate together. So a frequency school on the island sounds amazing.
Let's do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
We just demonstrated that we realize dreams. So this is the next one we have to tackle. There is the lady in white, and then the gentleman here in front. Mm-hmm.
So I was a little bit late. I hope I don't ask something that was explained earlier. When all these women say equality, what is the definition of equality in this project? Is that every woman should be able to do the same as men, or how do you define equality or these women?
Mm-hmm. It's a very, very, very interesting question that in every culture is so unique, right? And every person has a very different perception of equality. It can be socioeconomic, it can be political, everyone has their own definition. So we didn't want to define it. It's just them really putting their emotions and their music, their feelings into the word. But I think that would be a very interesting follow-up, and we're actually even thinking of maybe producing a visual book or something where the woman speaks for herself, right? What does equality mean to her? What is her background? What does it mean? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, so I wanted to add to this once you dig deeper into what this actually means, because it's very beautiful, and I love what you do, and it's the Frequency School that's fascinating. What I see as let's say a white woman from the West, a lot of women here are talking about equality, and they want to be in the boardrooms, they want to lead like men, they behave like men, and it's not necessarily very healthy for the divine masculine feminine to always do the same thing as men. So this equality, I think from a consciousness perspective, is to be, let's say, explored in a way that also is supported, the mindset and the healthy experiences with what does equality mean, because certain roles are let's say reserved for women because of the energy, and certain are for men, and they should take care of each other in a certain way, but it's not the same thing necessarily. But it should be in an eye-to-eye equal level. And a lot of people in the West here don't yet quite understand it. It's like if the woman does the job as a man, it's very good. It's actually not good for the families, for society, for the female energy and for the male energy.
It's what they say, right?
It's
think
like
a
down.
man, act like a lady. What do you do, if I may ask? Are you in gender equality as well? Or...
No.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Gentleman here in front, you had a question? Yeah.
My name is Gino Yu. I'm a recently retired professor after a 35-year career in academia. I've been in digital entertainment for about 35 years, but the last 20 years I do research in consciousness and phenomenology and neurophysiology. I have a lab that was doing a lot with sound, light, and tactile. And so you mentioned sound and binaural and certain frequencies of sound. And there are some, and if you look at brain waves, which correlate to states of consciousness, if you look at sound and there's binaural, there's also bitactile. So if I put vibrations on your body, left or right side, top and bottom, that can also kick your brain into certain states. And if you have flickering lights, I don't know if you know the Lucia light or the flicker effect, and if you combine all three together, you can basically treat your brain and your thalamus kind of like a home theater system where each input is like a speaker that can kick your brain into altered states of consciousness. And you can do things with, not only that, with ambisonics and everything like that. And right now, if you look, I gave a talk at the International Music Summit where before shamans would, basically the EDM DJs are basically the shamans for the new church. And, it was kind of around this. And there's the thing about this, there's the performance aspect of it, and there's the composition aspect of it, and there's the sciences aspect of it as well, too. So there are people like Jeffrey Thompson, I don't know if you know him, or Don Estes, or Alexander Tanis, and they're all, University of McGill has a psychoacoustics research lab as well, too. And for me, in terms of your frequency school, I'd like to know a little bit more about this, but we've been looking at doing something like the International Music Summit, but for sound healing, where you'd bring a lot of these top scientists together, because a lot of musicians don't know about the latest work in this area, and a lot of theories around that, with also the performers. And so to do something where you have sessions, I don't know if you know, like Satya Hinduja, or there are a lot of these people that are kind of in this space. In LA, there's Torquemji. I don't know if you know him, but he's a very good friend of mine as well, too. But it seems like there's a lot of stuff in this space, and that more established people are coming into this area. Be wondering, a couple things is, what have you done from a scientific perspective to inform your compositions? And then B, what is Frequency School in relation to this? And then C, if we were to put something together like this, like an event like this together that did this like the IMS, but for sound healing, is this something that you guys would be interested in?
You answered the other two questions.
Yes, absolutely. So I love what you mentioned about the lights and the tactile. So they just actually added this composition to. I'm not sure if you've seen the Neurovisor. Uses the light pathways for, and as well as we're working with some people in the Convergence camp who are doing tactile, encounters. Yes, we would love to make it as immersive and as engaging as possible. So all of these in combination, as you mentioned, they heighten and enhanced experience, as well as what you talked about is totally in line with what our intention is bringing these ideas to the mainstream. So some type of conference or summit where people are being, like you say, informed and educated. Because a lot of times when I'm going into these rooms with artists, they've never heard of this stuff that I'm talking about. It's like another language. So sometimes, like, I don't even tell them. I just sneak it into the song because it's so much to explain. But if there was some type of, course or some type of programming or some type of way that they could make it accessible, I think it would be totally awesome. And I think that now the world is going more towards, every artist that I meet, when I do get the chance to explain, like especially the pure artists, they always are interested in it and love it. But as you mentioned, there's not necessarily a lot of information always out about it. So this is something that we would love to explore and put together.
We are traveling around the world and not just attend the World Economic Forum, but also web summits and Chai-Tex conferences in Dubai, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Morocco, and so on. So it's not that we want to teach and preach, but just show what is possible. And so we go to all of these events and meet people from all different sectors and industries. And also what you mentioned in terms of scientific research and development, we are exploring a partnership, for example, in Qatar with a clinic there. We're very interested in, for example, the Abu Dhabi Health Week as well. So really partnering up with hospitals, clinics, neuroscience institutions, and so on, because I think MAEJOR's work can really add a lot of value to that. And there is just the beginning of everything that is unfolding. And in terms of the Frequency School, yes. So we have a LinkedIn account, the Frequency School, and an Instagram account now, freshly born, at the Frequency School. And so we're just building this with our small but very fine team. And MAEJOR, you can add on that. So
for the Frequency School, the intention is to equip the next generation with the tools that we wish we had when we were growing. So for me, that was meditation was the main one, But then there's other courses, where we collaborate with people too. So I'm sure maybe something popped into your mind that came, what would I wish I had learned? So it's basically creating like this mind, body, spirit program in a sense for the next generation. So we've started with children, I think as young as 6, 7, gone up to in the school, gone up to college age students who are. And it's just programming where we come for a few days and we've done like workshops, done experiences, and then it follows up with more material that they can follow through the year.
A follow-up in Los Angeles. Do you know Tammy McCrary?
I'm not familiar, no.
She's Shaka Khan's sister.
Okay.
And then what she noticed is a lot of the people in the music industry are too kind of imbalanced, too much stress and everything. A lot of them get suicidal and everything as well too. And so she's doing retreats for people in the creative music industry in Los Angeles to do meditation and a lot of these kind of practices just for people kind of in the music and creative industries. Cool. I forget the name of the school, but Tammy McCrary, Shaka Khan's sister.
We need to look, that's awesome. No, that's we love that. Yes,
in this space as well too.
Absolutely, and then one of the reasons why even we work with the executives and different people from businesses, like you say, because if you can touch someone, who has a lot of people in their organization or like an artist or different things, then it can filter through and flow through to their audience as well. So that's an awesome thing we need to check out. Thank you. There is one final question. We will connect afterwards and take this final question. We're still going to be around for a few minutes, but yes, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Andrew Funk from Homeless Entrepreneur, and I just wanted to thank you for the session. I wasn't planning on being here, but I was invited to stay. For me, the music helped me heal a little bit. I've had a little bit of stress in the past few days. I've walked 150 kilometers in 5 days from Zurich to Davos for 150 million homeless people. I'm sleeping out in front of the sculpture that's outside in the cold weather and getting woken up by the police, etc. So I just want to thank you because that helped me heal, which isn't necessarily the most respectful thing because I wanted to sleep and I need to sleep. I actually woke up to come here. Wow. So what I was just going to propose, I don't know what kind of performance you're doing publicly in Davos, in the World Economic Forum, but if you're inspired at all to do something next to our sculpture, to inspire those that are there, I think it would be amazing. And if you have the capacity as well to invite some of your musical friends and other people that you may know that are on the other side of the wall, which is the conference area, to participate, I think it would be a beautiful way to shed light on the Frequency School because there are 150 million homeless people that aren't on the right frequency, and they need that kind of support. So if that's possible, it'd be worth speaking about. Thank you.
I love that. I have an idea already. What is the way that we should share it? Just to share in here, like, what is the best way? Because I have an idea already, but what is the best way? Do we tag anything, or how do we?
Well, I would. It depends on your schedule, right? But
right.
I'm there 24 hours. So whenever you would want, for example, after tonight, tomorrow, we go out there, and I would just speak afterwards. But basically, you know your community better than I do. You know people that you know here.
Yeah.
And I would imagine just calling them or sending a message, hey, would you like to participate in this tomorrow at this time and do something special? So what I would do is just facilitate the space, if you will, and the concept of empowering 150 million homeless people through Frequency School. I think it'd be beautiful. I think it's something that could resonate, and it's just bringing your community together, if you will, to highlight that. And I think it would be simple, easy, and something that's possible to do.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Another song as well.
I don't know. I mean, House Music, we brought a song here. It's a piano song called Davos, because we create music for each city based on how the city is addressing homelessness. And actually, we use Suno. Have you heard of Suno?
Yeah.
So they created 135 songs about the Great Walk to accompany me on the Great Walk and the homeless community, which was quite beautiful. So I had 9 hours of music. Accompanying something specific. So that was using AI for good. So I think music and everything, it's just about action. I think a lot of people speak, but there's an amazing moment to do something. And if you'd like to, more than happy to speak a minute or two afterwards with you.
Amazing. Thank you for what you're doing as well. Thank you.
And on that note, we finish 1 Swiss minute late, but almost on time. We are here to talk more about collaborations and partnerships and ideas. So thank you all very much, and have a good night. Thank you.